Does it matter who we surround ourselves with? Is there such a thing as a bad influence, or are strong-willed and determined people exempt from the influences of negative people? Stay with us as we discuss this important topic. Hey everybody, this is the Marriage Ranger. Thanks for being here. Please make sure to like and subscribe before watching any further because it's really going to help the channel out a whole lot and I appreciate it. The old adage, bad company corrupts good morals, is a timeless reminder of the influence that our social circles can have on our behavior and character. These words of the Apostle Paul underscore the significance of surrounding ourselves with positive influences while also being cautious of the impact of negative associations. It's also common knowledge that birds of a feather flock together. But is your strength and charisma enough to change someone who has bad morals instead of them changing you for the worse? That's what we're focusing on today. If you've ever watched the show Breaking Bad, you probably remember Jesse Pinkman. Pinkman was once a small-time meth dealer, and after he was introduced to his old high school chemistry teacher, Walter White, he got deeper into the trade. Although Jesse had been running with the wrong crowd for quite some time, Walter set him on a path of violence and destruction. Jesse Pinkman's new girlfriend, Jane Margolis, is introduced as a recovering addict who's trying to get her life back on track. However, her relationship with Jesse, who is deeply involved in the drug trade, ultimately leads her back into addiction. Jane's death tragically occurs when she and Jesse relapse together, and she chokes to death on her own vomit after overdosing on heroin. Jesse's influence and involvement in the drug world directly contributed to her demise, illustrating how bad company corrupts good morals, and it does so with devastating consequences. No matter what kind of sin or evil behavior is under consideration, association with people who commit these acts can easily lead to committing them yourself. So let's explore some of the wisdom behind this principle today. The biblical passage that most directly addresses the concept here is found in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, and Paul writes, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." This very succinct statement underscores the potential for our associations to shape our moral character and influence our behavior. Throughout the Bible, there are numerous examples of individuals who faced moral decline due to their associations with either corrupt or ungodly companions. One notable example of this is King Solomon, whose marriages to foreign wives led him away from worshiping the one true God and into the sin of idolatry. Think about the greatness of Solomon. God had blessed him with wisdom to the point of being recognized as the wisest man on earth. People would come from far and wide to hear his sayings, yet even he was susceptible to negative influences around him. This really goes to show us it doesn't matter how strong we think we are, even the strongest can fall. Number 3, let's think about peer pressure and temptation. Peer pressure is a very real thing. We often hear about peer pressure involving the behavior of teens and adolescents, but it's a very real issue for all of us. The influence of bad company is strong, and it often manifests through temptation to engage in unwise or immoral behavior with others. In the book of Proverbs chapter 1, we're warned against the enticements of sinners and the consequences of yielding to their influence, emphasizing the importance of wisdom and discernment in choosing our friends and the people that we spend our time with. In the book of Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20, we are told, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." Surrounding ourselves with virtuous individuals who uphold godly principles can serve to safeguard us against moral compromise. Ultimately, while external influences can shape our environment and opportunities, each individual bears responsibility for their personal choices and actions. Galatians chapter 6, verse 7 cautions us, "Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows." And this emphasizes the principle of accountability before God and the consequences of our associations in everyday life. What about atheists? Someone might call me a hypocrite because I have friends who are atheists or non-religious people. And I even see clients in my private practice who are atheists. Well, the fact is, people are people, and many non-Christians actually do have a Christian worldview in many aspects, or they may be open to learning godly principles and changing themselves for the better. Bad company doesn't mean everyone who isn't a Christian. It means people who don't have good morals. We can actually agree with some atheists on some things, and we can agree with Jews and Muslims and Buddhists on even more things. There are some good things in people because people were created in the image of God, possessing a number of his attributes. There are also many biblical ideas that people realize, even though they don't know the Bible verse that supports it. They may hold true beliefs, but for different reasons than we do. It doesn't mean we accept everything they believe in practice, and we aren't saying that they're really Christians without knowing it. What we're simply saying is that we may associate with people who hold some divergent views for the fact that they are good people, Christian or not. The Apostle Paul addressed this matter in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 9 and 10. He said, "I wrote to you in my letter not to associate with sexually immoral people, not at all meaning the people of this world who are immoral, or the greedy and swindlers or idolaters. In that case, you would have to leave this world." And obviously, we're not going to leave the world yet. Christ has not yet returned, and we have not passed away and gone to heaven. We are here. We are here for the time being. And while we're here, we have a responsibility to be salt and light. And that brings us to our next point. How is it possible for us to be light to people who have bad morals? How do we reach people in the world without being corrupted by them? While it is true that bad company can have a corrupting influence, Christians still influence others for good by remaining steadfast in their faith and values. And this is exactly what Jesus talked about in Matthew 5. In this passage, he's talking about being the salt of the earth and the light of the world. And here's how you can navigate this. First off, decide to be that light of the world. Decide to be light in a place of darkness. Just as a single candle can illuminate a dark room, Christians can shine the light of Christ through their words and actions. Their example of love, kindness, and compassion can have a transformative impact on those around them. Think of all the archetypal examples of determined people who were surrounded by evil, yet they used the inner light of the self to influence and change others. Daniel, Jeremiah, Esther, Elijah, the prophet Job. Many others were boxed in by ungodly and negative people, but they brought light to those who were in darkness. This can only be done by maintaining strong personal convictions. By grounding ourselves in our faith and values, we can resist negative influences and maintain our moral integrity, even when surrounded by those who may not share our beliefs. As Christians, we're called to love and interact with people from all walks of life. But that means setting healthy boundaries in order to protect ourselves from being negatively influenced by harmful behaviors and attitudes. We can also rely upon prayer and the support of the spiritual community around us so that we're strengthened and empowered to resist negativity and the temptations that others succumb to. Seeking guidance and wisdom through prayer can help us discern how to best navigate challenging relationships and bad situations. So as we wrap this up, the biblical principle that bad company corrupts good morals serves as a timeless reminder of the influence that our social circles can have both on our character and our behavior. We can easily observe that if someone is doing wrong, it's a good idea to steer clear of them. However, wrong deeds are often done covertly, and it may be very unclear if it's the best thing to stay away from a certain person. It's also true that every single one of us commits some wrongdoing at times, making it important for us to use discernment on what behaviors would corrupt us through external influence. By surrounding ourselves with positive influences, though, and exercising discernment in our associations, we can guard against moral compromise and pursue lives of integrity and righteousness. I want to thank you so much for watching, and if you need help navigating these matters, you can contact me on my website, www.marriageranger.com. Have a blessed day.